Hi friends, welcome back to my studio. Today I thought it would be fun to talk about some new art supplies that I just got, test them out. Obviously there's a lot of art supply videos out in the world. That hasn't generally been a thing that my channel has been about, but I'm thinking about maybe moving somewhat into that. But I'm going to take it, at least this week, from the perspective of in my journal with Tomoe River paper, because I think that can be, I see a lot of art supply videos in terms of like how they work on watercolor paper and whatever, but I'm approaching this at the moment as someone who wants to do it in my journal and what kinds of considerations that might be. So if you think that would be fun, hang out with me for a little bit and we can get started. So the background here is I'm using these inserts as my journal this year rather than a big book. This is the 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. This is machine 9 paper. I got it from Paper Penguin Co. This is a B6 insert. Well, it's a TN insert that I cut down. And I've been doing a lot of drawing lately. There's a goat and an alpaca. Here's a kangaroo. There are days like this where like I actually don't feel like journaling, but like I remember my day because of that. I've started taking aerial silks, and so there's some of that. So I've been doing a lot of drawing. Actually, at the beginning of each insert, I like do a list of like how many drawings and how many sketches I have done in here. And so I'm looking for some more supplies that will work well in this context. I need a better clip than that. And so a lot of what I've been doing is colored pencil. I have just a stub of a dark brown Faber Castell Polychromos that I bought at an art thrift store, and I really like, but it's getting really short. I have some other colored pencils. I have some Prismacolor, set of 24 that I got as a teenager, and more recently I got these Derwent drawing pencils, which I really like. They're the right kinds of colors for what I like to draw. They're very soft though, and I like that. They're fun to play with. I just did this piece today on the toned hand paper, and they're fun, but for the kinds of sketches that I like to do in here, I'm looking for a harder pencil, something that builds a little more, because I like to kind of do these monochromatic studies, and the softer pencils, you kind of reach as far as they're gonna go pretty fast. I find it's hard to get the whole range that I want. So I liked that one Polychromos, and I decided to get some more. And then you know what it's like when you go to Blick. Also, if you're in the US and you haven't shopped at Blick, it's a great art store, but they're starting to really increase their fountain pen offerings, so it might be worth checking out. Obviously, it's not going to be as much as an Atlas or a specialist shop, but if you're looking to do a hybrid order between some stuff, it's really nice. So I tried to keep things under control, and we'll see how successful I was. So let's start with the Polychromos that we mentioned. I'm going to have to sort between these because I bought two different kinds of pencils, and I'll talk about why in a minute, and then also some other stuff. And what's in here? One. Okay, that's a choice. I also bought some Neocolors. We'll play with those too. I've never had those before. But let's start with the Polychromos. I got and part of the reason I got the Polychromos is because they are harder. I liked the one I had, and partly because the other pencils I got, these Albrecht Durer pencils, are actually have the same colors and the same color numbers. I don't think I bought, we'll have to check. I'm not sure I ended up picking anything in exactly the same color, but I liked the ability to mix and match between the two lines. And the watercolor ones, the Albrecht Durer, are hexagonal or faceted. yeah, hexagonal, and the Polychromos are round. So that's actually a pretty fast way to differentiate them, which Faber Castell I appreciate. So I got, let's see, 6 colored pencils, 6, it appears, watercolor pencils, and 3 Neocolors. That was me being reserved, and it was hard. Let's put these in some kind of order. And as you can tell, I went deep on the browns. That's kind of my favorite monochromatic thing to do. So we'll just swatch these out really quickly. This is raw umber. Yeah, these are so much harder than the Derwent. Room for both. I'm glad to have both, but I'm also glad to have something that I feel a little more in control about. This one is, let's do that one later. This is the Nougat. Maybe I should do a little bit more gradient here. So a warmer, like mid-tone, a cooler mid-tone. This is Van Dyke Brown, so a darker, kind of cool toned brown, and burnt umber, kind of a warmer dark tone brown, and warmer yet is this burnt sienna. So I thought all of those would make pretty good monochromatic things. And then just for fun, I got a green. Just a good grassy kind of green. This color is permanent green olive. And all of these come with light fast readings. Usually these kinds of colors, this one called itself permanent, and usually browns are very light fast. Yeah, all of these have 3 stars, which I think is the highest rating. Usually it's your pinks and your purples that are like, you might get surprised by. Okay, so those are my colored pencils. And then here, these are the watercolor pencils. And let's do them this way. So we've got that is also raw umber. So these two are the same color. I think that's the only, nope, I did get doubles. I wasn't sure. Lots of things came and left my my cart as time went on. That's the Nougat. That's the same color as that one. We'll do some tests on oh, okay, I really did go for overlap. I didn't think I did. This is the burnt umber. And then these are different. I got a Payne's Gray. I thought might be handy. And I'll put these down here. And olive green yellowish. This one has only 2 stars. All the others have 3. No, these 2 have only 2, which I'm using these in a sketchbook. It's fine. I usually get light fast stuff just so I don't have to worry about it, but we're going to put water on those in a minute. And then for the Polychromos, I got the colors I thought I'd be most likely to use, Neocolor to use, I'm sorry. So these are a water-soluble wax crayon. And this is from a different brand, so the names are different. This is raw sienna, but pretty similar to the raw umber. This is blue indigo. I got to kind of be like a Payne's Gray. And this is dark olive. So you can see I really stayed within a theme here. Because I kind of want to mix and match them in a way that we'll talk about. Let me get a brush and some water and we can play with these. All right, I've got some water, I've got a paintbrush, and I'm gonna not use too much water. So these, oh yeah, that just changed things. Obviously you can do like lots of water on here, but that's not something I'm looking to do in my Tomoe River paper. It can hold up okay, but I don't love the buckling. So I try to be pretty conservative with the water I use in this context. And that's the thing that's like different between doing this, you know, in Tomoe River compared to like a super beefy watercolor paper context. All right, love those colors. The nougat I'm less swayed by than some of the others. I really actually like how the Payne's Gray went. And then the crayons. I mean, people aren't kidding when they say these really dissolve. Like you can't see the crayon marks underneath it anymore. You can kind of see it for the Albrecht Durer. Not necessarily, but they really just, oh, this is purplier than I expected. I don't know if that's what I want, but we'll have fun playing with it. I think I can mess with it. And the green. I think all of these greens are like super natural, very natural, not supernatural. Let's just do a quick thing because this is a little purplier than I expected, although it's drying bluer. Like what happens if I kind of, because I was planning on using this as like a kind of a shadow color. Yeah, so you can make a nice murky kind of shadow color if you mix the yellow and the blue. So I think that's totally useful. So my idea, the reason we did this is that I've been doing these monochromatic sketches. It's the burnt umber. I'm looking for the burnt umber. So let's imagine that I'm doing this sketch and I don't have any practice drawing while I speak. So this is not going to be a very good sketch. But let's imagine that I'm painting, that I'm drawing this little Patagonian Mara that I draw a whole bunch. And man, this is bad without looking at a reference. Whatever, it's fine. I'm imagining, that's not how those eyes work, that I draw it, you know, in non-soluble. God, I hate that. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Kitty, relax. That I like draw it in non-soluble. Okay. Pretend that looks like a thing. I draw it, I do some of the like kind of monochromatic what's-its here. And then, just to like give it a little more tone, let's try this one. I go in with the water-soluble one. You know, I don't do a whole lot, I just add to it. And then I can take my watercolor pencil and the one color will stay put and the other one will like just add kind of some tone without me having to like put in like all of the work. You can do some shadows. And then dissolve. So that's my idea. And then obviously you could use watercolor for this, but I'm hoping to like just pick like palettes essentially, like just have these and just kind of keep it simple. Obviously I bought more than this, but I could have different kits for different locations, and then just have these 3 pencils and do my thing. So that's my idea, and then I would hopefully be able to. So yeah, sorry, I'm losing my. This isn't really any more compact than a watercolor kit. What's beautiful about watercolor paint is that you can mix all of the colors, and it's much more space efficient than these things, but I'm already doing the pencil drawing aspect, and so I just thought it would be fun to add like just a little color to them without like pulling out the whole thing. And in particular, I'm hoping, you can try that here, I'm hoping that these will be great for my live animal drawings. So this is, I haven't started yet. This is my next sketchbook. It's a Moleskine B5. And let's go to the back here and play with it a little. And so while I'm on location, I mean, it's fun to like set up with all the stuff sometimes, but I really like stay mobile. So I'm gonna do a pencil drawing real quick and we can come back and mess with it. Okay, here's a quick sketch of a kangaroo. This is what my like on location drawings have a tendency to look like. I use this burnt umber Polychromos. So, you know, that's fine. I love doing that. I'm thinking of doing a sketchbook tour. If you're curious to see that of my on locations. But I thought if when I feel like it, I wanted to just like quickly go in and like scribble a little here and there, and maybe with my Payne's gray go into these really dark kind of cool toned spots. I could do that, and that would be pretty fun. And honestly, I could just like leave it there, and that would be good. Obviously I wouldn't need water soluble for that, but I could do it. But if I'm there on location and I don't want to do a whole setup, I could use a water brush or something and just a little more of this here. I got to figure out like how much I want where, but just quickly go in, give it just kind of a little bit of a sweep in the places that I put. I have to be careful not to make green if I'm only using this raw umber and the Payne's gray. So maybe I'd want to put maybe more of this brown in just to like de-greenify it. Give that a little bit of a wet, and just kind of make some sketches that way. So this paper I didn't buy with wet media in mind. It's definitely going through, but I'm hopeful that with just a really light hand and these pencils that I can, you know, we could give him a little bit of a background here, that we can, you know, get away with it on this paper. And again, we could just leave it as dry pencil, which I think looks fun, but we could also make sure our brush is clean, which it's not, but also I think this paper gets a little green looking when it's wet. It's ivory moleskin paper. I think it gets a little green tinged when you do that. So we could do that, and then I could go in with my non-water soluble and like strengthen the lines that I like want to have. This is a different color than I was using before, which is not ideal, but whatever. Just go in, strengthen some of the lines, which is my routine, is very back and forth, strengthen and re-strengthen. And I think that's really fun. So anyway, that's how I'm planning on using these in kind of journal kinds of contexts. Yeah, I'm gonna need to be careful on this moleskin paper, but these aren't sketchbooks that I'm super these on location books, I try to be loose and I try not to be precious, and so, you know, I will try not to put too much water on them, but if they get a little wacky and a little whatever, I'm fine with that. So my big takeaway is I gotta be careful not to make green if I'm only putting the raw sienna and the Payne's gray down. So that's worth knowing. But otherwise, I think it's, you know, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I feel good about the colors that I picked. Maybe I wish I had picked a less purple Neocolor. Oh, we didn't play with the Neocolors on here. I mean, I think it would work about like this. I'll mess with that another time. But otherwise, I feel really good about the colors that I picked. Editing Katie here, it occurs to me you might want to see the other sides of these pages. On the 68 GSM, there's like nothing, and there's honestly barely any ripples with my controlled water. Also true of the Neocolors as well. If you want to see them in an actual 52 GSM, which you guys are probably more likely to be using. Let's see. We'll just do a quick one with this Payne's gray. So the pencil easily dissolves into like nothing. We'll do the blue here too, because I think that's the darkest. I mean, those are glorious. My friend Claudia and I have been trying not to buy those Neocolors for a bunch of time because we know we haven't been sure how we use them, but I can see why people like them. So we'll give those a second to dry, and then I will show you the other side. All right, these are nearly dry. Nothing, I mean, shadowing, but a little rippling. That's what you would expect. 52 GSM paper I do find is more likely to do these like hard edges in your washes. Some people like that, some people don't. Obviously it depends on how much water you're using and whatever. One of the things I like about the 68 GSM, it's a little less likely to do that, although obviously there are still places where it happens. So anyway, let's wrap this up. I'm really excited to use all these things. I'm gonna have a hard time. My goal was to just have a tiny kit that I didn't need all of these things that I just bought at the same time. I think that is going to prove a little hard, but my instinct is to choose. If I'm choosing right now, I think for the watercolor, I'm going to use the raw umber and the nougat, these two light colors, and the Payne's gray, and then in my kit I'll use the green Neo Pastel Neo color 2, the blue for the sky, and then for Insoluble I'll do the green, and I think the burnt umber. So if I were trying to keep it as small as I can, and then a paintbrush and some water. So obviously not that small, but you know, we're here to have fun. So that's what I would pick for my kit for how I am doing this kind of thing. Obviously, depending on what you like to draw and what your goals are, those might change, but I think this is my little essential portable kit, the thing I will try to find a way to carry around with me, and then I will have these other pencils available to swap when I get bored, or when I run one down, or to keep in a different location. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, I can do my best to answer them. Obviously, this stuff is new to me as well. But if you're interested in doing some more like mixed media in your journals or whatever, then I hope this was helpful, or at the very least entertaining. So I'm really pleased with all of the supplies. They're all really high quality and I'm going to enjoy using them. I've just got to figure out exactly what my style is. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk again soon.